Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gloves Off with David Singer. I have a very special guest today, Yolanda Berkowitz, founder of Friends of Miami Animals. But before we get to her, let me do the disclaimer. The opinions of the host, guest, and any callers and anyone in comments are not representative of the opinion of Mr. Singer's employer or anyone associated with Gloves Off. Thank you very much for coming by. I apologize to everybody who logged in. If you did log in at 4 o'clock, we were having some technical difficulties with computers. As anybody who's ever had a computer knows, they are very difficult sometimes and do not behave kind of like children. Kind of like children or animals. Or animals. It's true. So thanks for coming by. I had you on the show about a year ago, I guess. You hold the place as being the #1 rated show or person. Yes, you do. Still to this day, you had the #1 rated show.
That's good to know.
So that's a year. So let's beat those numbers hopefully this time. So we came here. A little bit of background. You were working for Voices of Children. You're on the board of directors of the Miami Foundation. You worked with Guardian Ad Litem, so you're heavily involved in any kind of nonprofits or charities because it makes you feel good and you like help.
I like being able to engage in my community in areas that may be overlooked, in areas that need just a little bit of a hand up or a little bit of an outside view. So working with Guardian Ad Litem program since 1995, I really saw what an impact one person can make in the life of kids in dependency court. Through the Miami Foundation, I mean, they've done a remarkable job through COVID and otherwise. I've been on the board of United Way Miami Dade. And then in 2016, just on a chance, I got involved in animal welfare. And, you know, if the show is one of the #1 rated shows or the #1 rated show, I think it really is a testament to how much people love animals and how much value we see in companion animals in particular. So I'm really happy that your audience is comprised of people that love animals and that care about making life better for everyone in our community.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because everybody loves animals. I mean, sometimes when you have kids or you're around some other people's kids, you know, not so much, but I don't know anybody who does not like animals. I mean, I'm an animal fanatic, as you know.
I know you are.
And
well, you know, and I think in the last 2+ years of COVID, I think that many of us, if not all of us, have really seen the value of companion animals. I mean, you see it in some of these shootings. They, you know, within days, they come out with therapy dogs. You saw it at 9/11. I mean, animals are very pure and very true to nature. So, you know, and when I talk to donors and I talk to sponsors, I remind them that it's $100 billion a year industry. So people are really committed to their animals. And then my work has centered, and Friends of Miami Animals Foundation has centered on our shelter, on Miami Dade Animal Services. We support other agencies and other organizations, but we have focused on Miami Dade Animal Services because as the county shelter, if there is a confiscation case with 100 animals, that's who has to take them in. If there are cruelty or neglect cases, that's who has to take them in. So for me, elevating that conversation and providing resources to them, learning about their needs and finding ways to address them. So it's been a long 6 years, but it's been really rewarding.
When I brought you in last time, or you came to do the show, we were, I guess, the tail end. Maybe it was the tail end of COVID, kind of the tail end of COVID, and the shelters at that point didn't really have a lot of animals to adopt. But from my understanding, and you know a lot better than I would, since COVID has subsided, that the shelters are starting to fill up again, and some of the people who actually got animals during COVID have brought back the animals because of, you know, their schedules have changed or they couldn't deal with the animals and stuff like that. Do you want to talk to? Am I off base or
no? You know, so at the beginning of COVID, which was in March 2020. Right away, the animal control, the National Agency for Animal Control essentially stopped picking up animals unless they were a danger to the community or they were injured. So instead of bringing in 100 animals a day, which sometimes they just were not picking up animals. There was also a lot of people, everybody went on lockdown. So there were also a lot of people who were home and found themselves with a lot of time, and they might have not thought about getting an animal before. So we had, I know that Miami Dade Animal Services put about 120 dogs into foster care. I think what we're seeing now, more than people surrendering animals because they made a mistake and they're sorry they got an animal, I think what you're seeing is that people are really struggling with the effects of COVID, the economic effects, the mental and emotional effects of COVID. If you are struggling to make ends meet, if you are struggling to put food on the table, it's hard to support an animal. So I think that's what you're getting a lot of. And because services were closed, vets were closed, spay and neuter was not happening in the community, you had animals breeding, throughout Dade County. So I think it's more than people giving up animals because they got them and then again, it was a mistake and they just don't want them. I think what you're seeing a lot of is people really struggling. Miami-Dade County ranks about 23 out of 100 in access to vet care. So,
So explain that to me. Does that make it easier or harder out of 23 out of 100?
It's harder. 100 means that there's great access to care.
Okay, got it.
So what happens is vet care is very expensive. There's a tremendous vet shortage across the country, and it's been going on for years, and it's going to get worse in the next few years. There's a vet shortage. There is a vet tech shortage. And then you've had big players like Banfield and VCA taking over clinics, and they're paying off student loans for vet students, and they're giving bonuses for people to sign in because they have high volume clinics. And so you're finding that the smaller vets are having to raise their prices. The supply chain issue has affected animal welfare as well, getting medicines and getting supplies. So in many areas, there is not a vet for miles and miles and miles. In many areas, the people that can't access vet care, it's either geographically limited, there just aren't vets in their community. They don't have, they take public transportation, they don't have, they work and they don't have the ability to go to it, or they can't afford the services. So we look to provide grants for spay neuter and for pet retention to vet clinics and to Miami-Dade so that they can provide these free services so that people struggling to keep their animals, people who have access to care. But the problem is a straight line of issues. The problem is too many animals breeding with not enough surgeries. The problem is people struggling financially and in other ways. And again, access to vet care. When you have a vet shortage.
Yeah, I can attest to the fact that every time I bring one of my dogs in, it's at least $250 to $300.
It's
expensive. It's just flat out, right? It's almost more expensive for me to, or it is actually more expensive for me to bring my animals to the vet than for me to go to a doctor's office.
And some has to supply, and they just don't have the ability to provide services. Everything costs more. They don't have vets to come in. I had a surgeon tell me a few weeks ago that if she could get more vet techs in her clinic, she could do more surgeries because so much of the prep of surgery and after surgery takes a lot of time. So one of the things that FOMA has done, Friends of Miami Animals Foundation, one of the things that we've done is we donated a mobile clinic to Miami-Dade Animal Services, and we gave them a $500,000 grant. And then we applied to Miami-Dade County. We went before the county commission and we asked them to fund $500,000 for years 2 and 3. And the WAMobile, which is Wellness on Wheels, the WAMobile provides free routine vet care for owned pets, free vaccines, free heartworm medication. They'll examine the ears, they'll trim the nails, they'll do gland expression. And we're seeing 18 to 25 clients a day on the 5 days that we're open. And it's been really successful. What we do is we position the unit, the WAMobile is in vet deserts, areas where there are no vets available, for 3 months at a time. And that gives us an ability to really address the pet needs of the community. And it's been very successful. So that's a great project.
So how would people find out about the mobile unit?
We do a lot of social media at FOMA Pets and we post all the time. It's on our website, fomapets.org. And, we promote it. We just moved the WAMobile out to Robbie's Feed and Supply out in West Dade.
It's Sunset, right?
It's West Sunset, and I forget, but WAMobile be there for the next 3 months. It's first come, first serve. And the reason for that is, a lot of consideration went into all of this. The reason for that is because if you make an appointment at 11 and we don't take any other appointments, and the day of your car breaks down or your kid gets sick, have an emergency and you can't make it, we've now blocked off time and resources. So we do it on a first come first serve basis, and people are not dissuaded. People are really using the services. So we're very excited about the Womobile. It was sort of a pie in the sky project when we got it, and we built it out, we produced it, and it's very successful.
You think that you'll get further funding from Miami-Dade County for it? That the funding comes from Miami-Dade County.
Miami-Dade County, Miami-Dade Animal Services budget is about $30 million. So the money should be in their
So
budget.
it's a drop
They
above.
they committed to 2 years. And the reason that I wanted to do that is because it's great that we gave them $500,000 for 1 year for free services. But what happens at the end of a year? And I was confident, and it's proven to be true, that we would see such success. We would see constituents of the commissioners and the mayor. We would see the electorate, people who own pets and live in Dade County. We would see them using the services, and we could show them how successful we were. And I think, one of the goals of Miami-Dade Animal Services and the commissioners and the mayor is, we talk about pet retention, keeping families. And, we see on the Womobile, we only do wellness services, but we see pets that have never seen a vet before. We get pets that have mammary tumors or they have dental work that needs to be done. And so we're trying to develop a network for referrals so that they can refer from the Womobile to a vet to do the mammary tumor removal or to do the sterilization surgery, so that we're not just vaccinating, microchipping, and sending them out onto the street, but so that we're giving full services.
And it's completely free?
The Womobile is completely free.
So there's no minimum amount of money.
There's no minimum amount. There's nothing you have to do. They do vaccines, microchipping, and the routine vet care. And it has to be for owned pets. We're not taking dogs off the street. We're doing it for owned pets. And it's been a successful project. I mean, I tend to see a problem, see a topic that I want to address. I head first into it. And the former shelter director always had an open ear and an open door for me. And that really sort of gave me my feet to do this work. It really gave me the impetus to say, we can think differently. One of the first things we did at the shelter at Miami-Dade was to build big play yards so that large dogs could get out, because 80 to 90% of their population is big dogs, 40, 50, 60 pounds and more. And their play yards, the shelter's beautiful. It was a brand new facility, state of the art, really phenomenal, but the play yards were very small. The fences were 4 feet high, so we put in 6-foot fences. We put in bigger play yards. And what that does is it doesn't only allow dogs to get out in play yards. It allows shelter staff and volunteers to get to know dogs better. It allows dogs to learn from other dogs how to play nice, how to reach other. Physical and play yard is that important. But, my husband, who is supportive of my work always, he had, he helped me get the old play yards torn down, and then we funded the yards and we funded the roof system for it, and it's been very successful.
So before somebody adopts the dog, does the dog go out in the play yard and they can get acclimated with the person to adopt them? I mean, that was different than when you used to walk through the cages and say, okay, I'll take that dog or that dog. That's the way they used to pick up dogs, right? So now they have 15, 20 minutes or whatever they want to figure out if the dog.
They do meet and greets.
Yeah.
They do meet and greets. And they have, so Miami-Dade Animal Services, which is in Doral, it's 3599 Northwest 79th Avenue. They have play yards on the south side of the building, which are smaller, and they have the big play yards on the north side of the building. But that allows, if you want to get a dog and you have a kid and you want to see what the dog is like, it allows people to do meet and greets with dogs. And we always encourage people that. And the truth is that dogs in shelters don't always well. They're scared. It's always noisy. There's lots of people. There's lots of stuff going on. So, it really takes a little bit of time. But, the play yards were a quality of life thing. We do a lot of support for volunteers. We started their volunteer fair 4 years ago. The first year we had 250 people show up to sign up to be a volunteer.
Wow.
The next year we had 300 plus people show up. And then unfortunately we hit COVID and then it was all virtual. But volunteers are really the lifeblood, I think, of a lot of these nonprofits. We used to always say at the Guardian Ad Litem program that no one does more for kids than volunteers. If you're going to the shelter, if you're taking time from your family to go walk dogs, to go socialize cats, it's because you really wanted it. And so, engages, not only do you get service hours from people that alleviate staff having to do some of that routine stuff, but you also, a lot of what I like to do is to sort of bring people into the shelter for have people understand that our county shelter is a resource for the community. If you have a senior dog and you need to put your dog down and it's $350 at the vet and you can't afford it, you can take your dog to Miami Dade Animal Services and they will put your dog to sleep for you. It doesn't seem like a big service, but imagine having to put your animal to sleep and not having the ability to pay for it.
Wait, first of all, I've never been able to do it. I get choked up. I get really choked. I just got choked up, right? And my eyes are starting to water. I actually have talked to my ex's ex-husband to do it. I've talked to my kids to do it. I've never been able to put down my own dog.
Oh my God!
I swear by life, I'm watering right now.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing I've ever got through in my life.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. It's awful.
It's terrible. But I have to tell you that, when an animal really gets to the end of its life, it's such a gift to be able to do that. It's such a gift to take an animal that is having mobility issues, isn't eating anymore, I know
it has to be done, but
I've had to put a number of animals down. The worst part for me personally, because FOMA doesn't do hands-on rescue, but I do a lot of hands-on rescue. The worst thing for me is to rescue an animal from Animal Services because it needs medical care. Medical animals are really my jam. And I go to my specialist. I do a lot of work with Miami vet specialists. They're amazing. And after they're vetted, I have to put them down. I mean, a dog with cancer. I had a dog with, advanced cancer so
I get the need for it.
Yeah.
It's like angel's work.
It's very hard.
I just never been able to do that. There's just something inside of me. I can't, it's just terrible.
I get it.
I don't know what it is about me.
Have you ever seen Marley and Me?
No.
Don't.
Sadim.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. It's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching.
I can't do it.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
It's awful.
Before too.
Yeah.
It is.
I never saw Old Yella. I've never seen that movie either.
Yeah, I can't watch. I can't watch those movies. I have come to that. I know that this sounds silly and it's not so serious, but I have really come to believe that witnessing this law, some live these often terrible weather, and for me, I talk myself into bucking up and doing it because I think should honor them. But besides, euthanasia is not somewhere that we really need to go down that path. But another thing that we do at Friends of Miami Animals Foundation is we partner with the Underline, which is the 10-mile linear park under Metro Rail. One of the most requested amenities that they had when they were starting to build the Underline was for dog parks. And so every first Saturday of the month, we do what we call Pause at the Underline, promoting animal welfare Saturdays. We provide either a free vaccination day or a free sterilization day. This Saturday will be dog training. I think with the storm, we may have to postpone and do it another time. But for me, that into the community and to touch people, to touch community members, let them know that their animals have value, that people care about their quality of life. And I think it just makes for a better community when we're all empathetic, when we all look out for each other a little more.
10 miles is a very...
Right now the Underline, the backyard, which is sponsored by FPL, is downtown. It's on 8th Street between First Court and First Avenue. It's a half-mile park right now. They're now building the second stage, which is by Visaya. But the park is going to run, the 10-mile park is going to run downtown
all the way to
Dadeland.
Okay. Yeah, I see them doing work all the time.
Yep, you see it. And there'll be different parks at different areas.
Okay.
But it's a way it's a way to get the shelter into the community and the community into the shelter.
Will they be fenced in areas or just basically open for dogs?
They're not what we do Saturday, and taking their dogs on the underline. When we do vaccinations, people come out and line up to get their dogs vaccinated for free. Shelter dogs, when we do adoption events with shelter dogs, we just take crates or the unit because they have a Hope Mobile, which is their mobile adoption vehicle. And we take animals and they're essentially in their kennels on this vehicle. But it's a way to get, shelter dogs and cats out of the shelter and into the community. So,
and also breathe some fresh air.
Breathe some fresh air.
Yeah.
And you know what? And it's again, this is not, like any social issue in our community and anywhere, there isn't one solution for everything. There is access to vet care. There is more adoptions. There is getting volunteers. There is getting involved. Every component. So FOMA, media, a lot of what we do is really messaging and sharing information and education for the community so that they understand what it means to foster a dog. What a life-saving thing it is to take a senior dog out of the shelter and let it crash in your house for a few weeks or however long. And I know how those experiences help the animal to learn how to be in a home. It helps people to know the dog hates a leash, he hates water, he likes water, he loves going on car rides, and that all helps in getting these animals into homes. Ultimately, that's what we want.
I thought old dogs love car rides.
Yes.
I take my dogs down to the Keys with me.
Some dogs more than others.
Oh my God.
Your dogs love it?
They love it. Absolutely love it. And they like being on the boat too. They just,
I always worry about that.
I always worry about, yeah.
I know. And the funny thing is my dogs love to go in the car. And the only time they go in the car is when they're going to the vet or they're going to the groomer. And they get so excited. I say to them, what is the matter with you? You never go anywhere fun in the car because I have a big yard. I don't take them anywhere. What is the matter with you? The only place you ever go is the vet or the groomer, but they love to go in the car.
It must be the vibration or something. Because there's a story. My dad, when he moved down here, had a German Shepherd named King. And this is when nobody was living in Miami, like late, probably 50s, early 60s. And his window was down, and the German Shepherd saw a rabbit or something.
My God!
And jumped out of the car to chase the rabbit. So my dad actually had to get out of the car and look for the dog. So I don't like.
So
if
you
I
don't
crack
open
the windows,
window.
I crack it this much. So tell me about you were shipping
Transporting.
dogs, transporting.
Yeah.
Sorry, shipping is a
Yep.
negative connotation.
Yep.
Transporting dogs to other areas of the country that needed dogs.
Yes. So there are areas. For us in Miami, it's in the Northeast. New Hampshire has very low population of dogs. Maine has a very low population of dogs. Delaware has a very low population of dogs. Part of the reason for that is because they have done an excellent job of providing spay-neuter services. They have made spaying and neutering accessible financially and otherwise to their community. They have really messaged the importance of sterilized animals, not just overpopulation. Animals live an average of 3 years longer when they're sterilized. They get less hormone-related diseases.
See, I didn't know that.
They get less cancers because they get hormone-related cancers. So they've done a better job of controlling their population. The other component of that is that their animals are not breeding in the dead of winter because puppies and kittens are not surviving in 20-degree weather. Where in Miami-Dade, we have dogs and cats breeding year-round. It's kitten season here all the time. One of the really important things with transport is you never want to displace local animals. So you want to work with shelters that understand their population. If I'm helping to transport animals out of Miami-Dade, the first thing I do is ask my shelter partner, what does your population look like? What can you take? If they have 20 bully breeds, I don't want to send a lot of bully breeds. I want to send them some variety so that we're not displacing their animals. So transport is a life-saving system that happens across the country. And, there are people that, complain about it and it's a terrible policy. At the end of the day, these communities don't have enough animals to be adopted.
Why would people say that? What's their reasoning?
I think, David, and this culture from, being, live streaming and being on social media and the web and everything, it's given everyone a platform and we're all experts on everything. We all have an opinion. We all think we know better. The first thing I do, we'll talk about a project we
Yeah.
have going on right now, and one of the things I did initially on this project was to do the research to find out, talking about bully breeds in particular, what does that population look like? What are the obstacles that bully breeds face? Because across the country there are too many bully breeds, the squareheads. They're not pit bulls, they're terrier mixes, they're American bulldog mixes, there are a gazillion mixes of everything. And I think, people are just misinformed and everyone thinks they know best. So I try to rely on the data. I rely on the big players who have the data that they analyze, that they collect, that they go through systematically so that it's accurate and they know what they're addressing. But for me, I have moved hundreds of animals out of Miami-Dade Animal Services, and sometimes it's 2-3 animals at a time. Sometimes
And they end up in
it's-
good homes. So I don't understand why anybody would have a problem with that.
We moved in February, I think it was. I don't even remember when it was now. It's like all a blur. We moved 104 dogs and cats out of Miami-Dade Animal Services. They went to Maine and they went to Delaware. I just got word yesterday, 2 days ago, I spoke with my colleagues in Maine. Every one of our animals has been adopted.
I mean, don't you think it's a lot better than having to put animals down?
100%.
I mean, it's crazy that anybody would
100%.
have a criticize
100%.
something that's.
And what I do personally when I rescue, so I've rescued animals. For years now, I've rescued medical dogs. I often will call one of my partners and say, I'm pulling this dog. He has cancer in his leg. I'm going to amputate it. We're going to do chemo. Will you take the dog for me after? Because they have an adoption process in place. They do a meet and greet. They follow up with the adopter. They make sure it's a good match. Remember, these animals being transported, they're not going to a shelter like Miami-Dade that takes in 30,000 animals a year. They're going to a shelter that takes in 3,000 animals a year, privately funded with tremendous resources. They're not having to pick up every animal on the street. So they're going to shelters that have the capacity and the ability to provide for them and to match them up with good homes.
So out of that 30,000, what percentage is that dogs and cats?
It's a little more dogs typically. I'm going to have to look at what the data shows now.
That's
with COVID
interesting
and
because I would
everything.
have thought would be more cats because there are all these stray cats out there and I see a lot of dogs, I'm sure.
No, there aren't.
Yeah.
There are. Sadly, there are too many stray dogs. Community cats, the ones you're talking about, are what they call community cats. And generally speaking, cats, the way to manage the community cat population is through geographically targeted, except what they do is they call it TNVR, trap, neuter, release, vaccinate and release. And if you have a colony of cats living down the street from you, you want to trap those animals, you want to sterilize them, you tip their ear so that you know that they've been sterilized, you vaccinate them, and you put them back where they came from. You don't want to move one colony of cats into another one because then you have territorial issues. The only way, and I think the estimate is about 400,000 to 500,000 community cats.
And where?
All over Dade County.
Dade County?
All over Dade County.
You have a
UM's
500,000?
500,000.
UM's got a massive share of stray cats. They hang out all around campus, and there's don't feed the cat.
But you gotta feed them.
Well,
I mean, you gotta feed them, right?
something's feeding them.
I would.
The student.
And there are feeders literally that dedicate themselves. They go out every single morning to feed animals on the. The answer again is targeted spay neuter, geographically targeted spay neuter. University of Florida, did a big project, and they showed that when you focus on a geographical area and you do this trap, neuter, and release, trap, neuter, release, trap, neuter over a number of years, you really reduce the population. The intake at the shelter ends up being a lot of young kittens, neonate kittens, which is a really sad thing because kittens have to be fed every 3 to 4 hours. They can't regulate their heat. They can't regulate their body temperature. So unless someone can feed them overnight, can take them, many get put to sleep, which is terrible. But the shelter has done a really nice job of getting fosters. They call them kitten cuddlers, getting fosters to take these kittens in. So that's what you see a lot of. They get owner surrenders. They get older cats that people, can't keep anymore. They're moving out of state, or I don't know what their issues are. But dogs is what you see more of, a little bit more.
Well, people don't. I mean, there's a lot of people that sit there and go, "Oh, I want this little puppy," but don't realize it's pretty much a full-time job. You got to take care of them. You got to take them to vets. You got to make sure they get shots. You got to entertain them, because dogs, single dogs don't entertain themselves. You got to, if you're like me, you sleep with 3 dogs in your bed at night. I mean, it's just, it's a lot more responsibility than the average person actually thinks.
Is willing to make.
Willing.
Well, and with puppies, something that people don't think about with puppies, they're so cute and they're so adorable. Puppies, the first 14 or so weeks of their lives is really significant in how they develop. So if you have a puppy that you don't socialize, that you don't take for walks, so when you get a puppy, you should, and don't go to the dog park. Please don't go to the dog park. Dog parks are generally just the worst thing, I think. I mean, it's hard to control. Animals are running wild. You don't know who's going to react.
Don't go to the dog park if you have a puppy. Or
Well,
don't go to the dog park at all.
I don't like dog parks at all. I just
Okay.
think that dog parks are, especially with shelter dogs,
Mhm.
My feeling always with the shelter dog, and again, because I do rescue, sometimes I'll have a shelter dog and I'll take him out, spend the day with them, or, take him somewhere. The last thing I want to do is to have a shelter dog get into an altercation, even if it's your dog who starts the problem.
Mhm.
A shelter dog doesn't have a family to defend him and to advocate for him. And dog parks are just unpredictable. Some dogs are just jerks about playing with other
Mhm.
dogs. But the thing with puppies is that they really have, like, the first 3 months of their lives is when they need to be socialized. They need to be around cars. They need to be around white people, around black people, around people with hats, around mailman, around horns that are beeping, thunderstorms. If you socialize a puppy properly, it's a lot of work, because I rescue puppies that are medically at risk. Otherwise, I don't puppies at all. They really require.
And they're very destructive, by the way.
They're very
I
destructive.
tell you how much.
Puppies.
I can't tell you how much furniture puppies have destroyed in my house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
and enrichment.
Well, they're
keeping
bored.
them-
They're
keeping them
bored.
busy.
Yeah.
Keeping them
Correct.
busy. I mean, you may not have ever used things like a snuffle mat. A snuffle mat is a piece of what looks like a shag carpet a little bit. And what you do is you put treats in it and you make your dog snuffle for it.
Oh, that's very cool.
There are dogs that wolf their food down, and they're, very energetic, and they are anxious or something. So you feed them in something called a Kong wobbler, and it's about this big and it's got holes in it. You put all the kibble in there, and the dog has to bat this wobbler around to get its food, because what that does is it occupies the dog's brain. It keeps them hearing. And most dogs they're just happy to be, next to you in your house. I hear people say, well, I don't have time, and I don't, my dogs don't care that I walk them 5 times a day. They don't care that they want to go out. They want to go potty. They want to be with me. So it does take work, but I have to tell you, and I've told my husband, and I say it all the time, my single most consistent source of joy is my animals.
I'm with you.
Now, single most
Yeah.
consistent. I have lots of joy in my
Yeah.
life, and my husband and my grandkids and my
Yeah.
there's a lot of joy in a lot of my life. But my single most consistent source of joy, because they're in the moment. You could reprimand your dog now, and 2 minutes later say cookie, and they're happy. They're not like, oh, she just yelled at me, I'm not going to be nice to her. So, I mean, I think animals are amazing, and I think that sometimes I wonder, people, what do people think about my really significant commitment to animal welfare issues? And, it really has to do more than anything with having empathy for those around me that need it. I do plenty for people. My husband and I are, very philanthropic, time, energy, resources. We do a lot for a number of organizations that are really meaningful to us. But, I really enjoy it. And I think, for companion animals in particular, for seeing the happiness in a pet owner that comes in and gets their animal sterilized for free. And we give them a bag of food and we give them, a gift bag with toys for their animals. It makes them happy. It gives value to something important in their lives. So I find a lot of joy in it.
I can see that.
I do.
And I can appreciate that. You have a special project coming up, right?
We do.
That we're kind of breaking
We do.
the news right now.
We do. We're gonna launch it, and I think you have a short video we can share.
I have a short video. It's going to probably take a couple seconds for Gina to put it on.
So let me tell you about this project.
Okay.
So Rick Brody, who is the founder of Wings of Rescue. Wings of Rescue started, I believe they started in New Orleans, moving animals out of Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
And they moved animals out of Texas. They move animals from natural disasters, Haitian earthquake, the Bahamian hurricane. They move animals out of natural disasters to shelters that can take them in. They also move animals out of high volume shelters or high kill shelters. Miami-Dade is not a high kill shelter. Miami-Dade is a high volume shelter. But there are shelters in Central Florida, in Georgia, in Tennessee that don't have a budget for animal welfare. They may
This
have.
is kind of interesting. Isn't it?
Animals come in
Yeah.
and they're euthanized. If nobody can take care of them on the weekend,
Mhm.
they euthanize everybody. It's a resource issue. It's not a desire issue. So Wings of Rescue does a lot of transport. Rick Brody from Wings of Rescue, who's a remarkable human being, is a dear friend of mine. And Rick has this project called Operation Pit Stop. And
Wait, before you do that, can we show the video? Do we have the video anywhere? Because I'd like to show the video.
Hi, I'm Carmen Jorda and I'm a race car driver. Just like I need my pit crew, our pets need you to help them be at their best. One of the keys to their success is making sure they are fixed. Because bully breed dogs can deliver up to 12 puppies, there are more dogs in Miami-Dade than there are homes to adopt them. That's why we're launching Operation Pit Stop. Through Operation Pit Stop, you can get your bully breed dog fixed for free. FOMA, along with Wings of Rescue and Miami-Dade Animal Services, are offering free spay or neuter services to any bully breed dogs during the month of July. Help us win the race to end pet homelessness. Book your free appointment today and join Operation Pit Stop.
There you go. When you see it on TV, it's probably play a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
so that's the first time that video has ever been seen by anybody outside my immediate team, just so you know.
Really?
So Carmen Jorda, who is
Yeah.
the woman on the video, is the 11th woman to be on a Formula One racing team. She's a race car driver. And the reason it's called Operation Pit Stop is because our focus is on bully breeds, which experience longer shelter stays, higher euthanasia rates, housing discrimination. Because of us keep animal people, these challenges that bully because of the high intake at Miami-Dade. We start July. We're going to do, the plan is to do 500 of this project with me. Meredith Hippert says we're going to do more, to 700 surgeries for free, but spayed, neutered, microchipped, and vaccinated.
Okay, so
all free services.
Before you, what exactly distinguishes a bully breed?
Well, we call bully breeds all of these square heads, like Charlie. He's a mutt. I mean, I have a dog that I rescued. He was shot by the police 3 times. He's got a big square head. I mean, I have a great picture of him I can show you. When I did his DNA, it came back 100% American Bulldog. He's not an American Bulldog. He's a Mastiff mutt. But all of these square heads, if you see the video of these dogs at the shelter, they all have this big square head. And those, so we're focusing on bully breeds because of the higher euthanasia rates, higher intake, longer shelter stays, and the discrimination. And that is what we see the most at Miami-Dade Animal Services. Those dogs can have litters of 10 to 12 puppies. If you don't sterilize your dog and your dog goes out and gets knocked up, you're going to end up with 8, 10, 12 puppies. And what do you do with these animals? So during the month of July at Miami-Dade Animal Services Homestead Clinic and Doral, and then we're also doing every Sunday, we're going to use the mobile clinic for surgery. We're providing sterilization, vaccination, and microchipping, which is really exciting. I'm really doing that. And then one of the owners just did a food truck to get 20 to 25 pallets pallets of pet food that we're going to give away to everybody access. So, it's our way to help Miami-Dade cut pet population, but also because sterilizing your pet really does extend the life of your pet by a few years average, and they live longer, healthier lives. So it's a double-fold, it's a twofold project that we're doing. Miami-Dade has been amazing. They are doing all of the support. Wings of Rescue brought this project to us, and he's amazing. Rick is bringing some resources to it. And it's been fun. It's been hard, create the project, because Friends of Miami Animals Foundation is not just a funding agency. We build these relationships. We build these projects. If you look at my email, it's email after email, approving content, approving pictures, approving press releases, looking at the logistics. But it's one way that we can help Miami-Dade County, and we can help Miami-Dade pet owners. And we are focused on, we've got 20 billboards going up. They're going up in high intake areas. I had Miami-Dade give me their statistics on where these animals are coming in the most. Of course, it's in the vet deserts. It's in these lower income communities where people just don't have the ability to sterilize. So we're focusing on that. We've got billboards, we've got ads on Metro Rail, we've got ads on Metro Bus. We have some donations for prizes. Bully breed owners can enter to win cash prizes and large screen TV sets. And, it's not just an incentive for people to give them gifts. It's also to give value to these animals, to give value to these services.
It's also to get the word out.
To get the word out.
You got to get the word out.
Yep. I've got some exciting videos. I've got, some really fun people that are doing videos for me that we're going to be sharing. So you can check out @FOMA Pets for more information. I'm hoping we can go live with this tomorrow. Appointments will be taken through 311. Which is the county number. Appointments will be taken through 311, and we are going to focus on bully breeds. We are not going to turn any dogs away from sterilization. Any dog that wants to make an appointment, any pet owner.
It's okay.
My dog knows how to use the phone.
I'm sure. So,
My dog has a cell phone.
That's great. Look at that.
So, isn't that great? So any pet owner and all of the dogs, when you see the billboards, we've got 20 of them around. Every dog in our billboards is a Miami-Dade dog.
That's a cute dog, by the way.
Isn't that sweet? I know. I love them all. So that's a squarehead. I mean, he's a terrier mix.
But you're not limiting it to squareheads, though. Although your focus is
we
on
are
squareheads.
not turning away any pet owner that wants to get their dog sterilized, and we're keeping it to dogs because the setup to sterilize dogs is different than cats. And if you have to go back and forth, you have some lag time. You have some time that you're wasting. And the issue is dogs. So we're not turning any animals away. We are focusing on bully breeds. And, I'm excited. I hope that people like the project. I hope that they take advantage of it. I did a little research. I looked at the intake codes and I went on the Dade County demographic website or through the Dade County website. And I looked at the income of these households and the composition of these households. 10 to 30% of these households are below the poverty line. 9 to 25% of these families with children are below the poverty line. So to provide these services for free is remarkable. And Mayor Levine Cava is really, she's a big animal advocate. She's very excited about this project. Miami-Dade Animal Services has been amazing in making this happen. And, I'm excited we're able to provide this.
So if it's successful, will you expand it to go farther than the end of the month?
We will not simply go beyond the other month.
Yeah.
If we will fill the appointments, we will look at the numbers every week to make sure we're meeting appointments and see how we have to bolster if we have to, but we will not turn any animals away. If we have animals at the end of the month that still need surgeries, we will accommodate them.
So as long as you bring in your animal or sign up before July 31st.
Yeah, we're taking appointments. The appointments for Operation Pit Stop are going to be set up through the month of July. Obviously, we should only fill every appointment and need more, but we will not turn animals away.
I bet you will.
I think so. I hope so. Please help get the word out. It's free services. It's services worth, $500 at least, if not more.
Yeah.
Sterilization, vaccination, and microchipping. So if you get your pet sterilized,
Mhm.
we will microchip your animal and we will vaccinate your animal. I think, and I'm waiting to finalize the details, but I think we're going to every week, there's 4 weeks obviously in the month, every week, the first 20 clients will, if they have to buy a license, it's $30 or $35 to buy a license with the county when you vaccinate. If they have to buy a license for their pet, we will underwrite the first 20 every week.
Okay.
Just to incentivize people. So if you don't want to have to pay the $35 license fee, we're going to
Which,
make
by
sure.
the way, is a lot less expensive than going to a regular vet to get vaccination.
Yeah. Well, Miami-Dade, I mean, again, it's really important to understand that they are a resource for this community. You can get your animal sterilized at animal services for $60 or something. It's hundreds of dollars at a vet.
Hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds. But the county shelter is a resource for animals. That's their job. The department is set up to help animals and animal people. So they have to make this available. So I think they do a great job. I mean, it's a tough field that they're in. I mean, 30,000 animals a year, the suffering is just awful. But they do a good job. And I'm always happy to look on the bright side and to bring resources to the table. But, check out our website at fomapets.org. Look at our social media at FomaPets. We post everything. We're always on there. I get a lot of messages and a lot of emails asking questions and asking for help. And it's been really rewarding. It's been rewarding to see that people are embracing our work and embracing our mission. And we're also doing through this website, through this operationpitstop.com, you have the ability to donate $50 to underwrite one surgery or $100 to underwrite 2 surgeries.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it's interesting that there aren't a lot of vets out there. What they have to do is, I think the only school for veterinarian services is Gainesville, University of Florida, right? Maybe they need to.
There's a vet shortage across the country. It's been that way for 5 or 6 years, and it's only going to get worse. And as I talked about earlier, when you have the big players, Banfield, BCA, buying up little clinics, taking vets from these smaller practices, and I mean, like everything else, COVID really burnt people out. COVID really has taken an emotional and a mental toll on people. So you have vets who have and don't want to do it anymore. They just don't have the capacity. So ways to support that, to find ways to provide services, to find ways to let people know that there are resources out there is, the ongoing challenge for us.
I think that's great. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Hopefully everybody who's watching is impressed too with the amount of work that you're doing to help the animals in Dade County.
Thank you. I love my work. I'm so lucky. I really am so lucky.
Anyway, would you like to say anything else before we sign off?
No, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, you're invited back anytime. I told you.
Thank you. I love that you have this platform.
Yeah.
I love that you give people like me and others in the community an ability to talk directly to the public. If you have any questions for me, please email us at info@fomapets. If I can ever help you with anything, I'm always
anybody. I would love more nonprofits to come on. My mission in life is to get information flow out there. And
it's
whether
important.
nonprofit or charity, I mean, there's just
important.
There's always bad news. You can sit there and on a daily basis always find bad news, but good news is hard to come by.
There's so much good going on in this community,
and you never hear about it.
Miami Foundation has done a really remarkable job. I just went through a process with them where we reviewed 27 grant applications from different organizations doing really good work in this community. And I had to call my the president of the foundation because I had a board meeting that day, and I said, I underestimated how long it would take me to read 27 proposals. So can I do a virtual board meeting today? But, when I sat there and I was up at 5 a.m. reading them, what I found it so inspiring that people are helping with housing inequity, that they're helping Haitian taxi drivers to go digital so that they can join the gig economy, that they're helping kids with mentoring. I mean, there's good everywhere.
Yeah, but you just don't see it. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it doesn't sell or what the deal is, but
well, I mean,
if you look at the news, you look at the paper, you just don't see the amount of good that people like you, sit there and devote a lot of their hours of the day to helping the community.
You know the expression, if it bleeds, it leads.
That's right.
I mean, people want sensational.
That's right.
I don't know if it's because it makes us feel safer about our lives or it makes us feel apart, but there's a lot of good in this community. There really is. And I am, you know, I know it's a little corny to say, but I am so privileged that I get to do this work. I'm so lucky that I get to do this
I think
work.
we're all lucky you
Thank
do this
you.
work. Let's, you know, I never checked to see if there's any kind of emails or anything. You want to flip it? See if there's any kind of questions?
We came out a little bit late, so.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That's okay. That was because of technical
Yeah, I know.
difficulties.
That's all good.
Technical difficulties. Thank you for coming by.
My
You're invited
pleasure.
anytime you
Thank
want.
you. Well,
You know
I
how to
will
reach- you-
report back
you
on
know how to-
Operation Pit Stop.
Yeah, you know,
I know how to
absolutely.
find
Please
you.
do. You know how to find me.
I will,
right?
and I'll update you on Pit Stop. I'm really excited about Operation Pit
Although
Stop.
I'm broadcasting from the bunker. Nobody knows where I'm at.
Good.
You know,
Good.
for reasons
get it.
that we've
I get it.
discussed.
I get it.
So
I get it.
David
Thank you,
Singer,
everyone.
David Singer, Yolanda Berkowitz live from the bunker. We appreciate everybody joining us today, and may you stay healthy and stay safe out there.
Gloves
Thank you
off.
very much. Gloves off.